OpenFest 2024. Back to the source.
Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well in the OpenFest. Now we are here gathered for another lecture about completely liberating an ARM laptop in Bulgaria by Tiberiu Turbureanu. Please applause for him.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here with you. It's another edition that I participate at OpenFest in Bulgaria, and it's always a great. I always have a great time here with you guys. Thank you for attending my presentation. My full name is Tiberiu Turbureanu. You can call me Tibi, and as a hacker name, I chose my initials TCT. Who am I? I'm a computer science alumni. I also am finishing my master's degree in embedded systems. And besides my studies, I also worked in the nonprofit world with a few organizations, beginning with my years in faculty. It was one ASSA involved with robotics. I helped them bring free and open source software to the robots that they were making for a competition. ROSEDU, which is Romanian Open Source Education, involved with teaching computer science students to know about the principles of software freedom and develop liber and open source software. And finally, the organization that I also incorporated as a foundation in Romania, CHATA. In previous years, I've been talking at OpenFest and TuxCon in Bulgaria about it. Besides those non-profit projects, I also organize a conference called Co-Liberator in Bucharest, Romania. And I have a web shop called Technoethical that is refurbishing and installing GNU Linux on devices to users all over the world. I first started this project called Technoethical to help me with getting funds for activism for software freedom. And I first offered the service of GNU Linux installation on laptops, on servers, as many people from our community are doing as well. It proved to be difficult to find customers in Romania interested in outsourcing these services to a third party. Usually they would employ someone to do it, and that's great. So I decided that instead of offering services, it's better to have some products that I can prepare and ship to customers that are interested in. And this is how I started with Atheros Wi-Fi adapters. You probably know that some of them, not all of them, have support in Linux with free firmware, so completely libre firmware. And it was great to use those for myself in order to not run blobs on my operating system and enjoy the full capacity of the Wi-Fi protocols. I then continued to add to my product catalog some Samsung phones that were able to be installed with a fully liberal distribution based on Android that is called Replicant. In case some of you have heard, I'm happy. I continued with laptops because these are the devices that we do our work most of the time on. And I chose the ThinkPad because they were sturdy and had great support from the community in terms of software freedom. And also moved to the next level with the server that is produced by Asus. I've been mentioning that I don't want to run blobs in my operating system, and this is because out of principle, but also for practical reasons, like I care about what software runs on my computer. I want to know what it's doing. I might want to inspect the code to see how it is coded, or to add some features that I need, or shortcuts, or I need to know that it's not doing something that I don't want to. But also because I want developers to respect my freedom and privacy. So you might know that some of the applications that are binary only and they do not provide the source code, or they provide it under partially and under not FSF approved, Free Software Foundation approved licenses, they don't really respect privacy. They invade your private life. So because of these principles, I prefer using completely liberal distributions of GNU Linux, which have only liberal software pre-installed. The repositories, the official ones at least, only include liberal software, and only liberal software is recommended. So they don't instruct users to install blobs, non-free firmware, some non-free drivers or applications. Also, they normally run Linux Liber. It's a project based on Linux that provides a kernel that doesn't have any blob. And you can be sure when you're running Linux Libre as your operating system kernel that you don't have proprietary software at the very lowest level with full privilege of your operating system. Besides all of those, completely liberal distributions also exclude extensions, for instance, browser plugins or extensions, that add-ons that are not completely liberal as well. You might have heard about Respect Your Freedom. What is this campaign of the Free Software Foundation is doing besides providing completely liberal distributions of the GNU Linux operating system? It also deals with the problem that most hardware is not able to run completely liberal software, and selects those hardware devices that are able and are also promoted in a way that propagates, advocates for software freedom. Besides the operating system that is completely liberal, so no blobs inside of the operating system is present, there is also this level, which is also very important and has much more control than the operating system, which is the BIOS level, the basic input-output system. Another aspect that is probably going to be included in this campaign of the Free Software Foundation is the embedded controller, which deals with how power is managed on the computer, keyboard, and so on. There is also there's though an exception to this rule, because if we were being strict about all these devices, we would have moved to the lower level at the component level, and we would want to have free firmware for the SSD, for the storage device. We would want to have free firmware for many more Southbridge, many more components. For the LVDS communication with the screen and so on. So, because we want to be able to offer users right now devices, computers that run completely libre software, we have this exception that if the user cannot perhaps easily update the software on that hardware, then we don't have to be so strict to exclude those computers because they don't have free firmware. I want to talk about how Technoethical respects user freedom. Besides having the largest catalog of devices that are certified by the Free Software Foundation to respect your freedom, we also have challenges. And one of these challenges are to find good candidates for newer computers that can run completely libre software. And it seems that the main producers of processors, Intel and AMD, are dead end because they included a feature, a co-processor, which is called the management engine, which provides access, remote access to the computer. And if we cannot remove that software in the newer versions of their computers, then it seems that we should look at other architectures like the ARM, which is not the very best. There are other projects that the community is putting their effort in at the moment, but it seems to be a good enough temporary solution, considering that it is mass-produced. Excuse me. I might be having a cold. I mentioned in the beginning that I've been a regular at the conferences in Bulgaria, OpenFest in Sofia and TuxCon in Plovdiv. I appreciate very much the people that participate in these conferences. They have great input. It is great for sharing ideas and sharing knowledge about different projects. I see those conferences as opportunities for collaborations and for regional cooperation without the need to be asking for external Western funding. As I mentioned before, ARM might be a temporary solution for getting newer computers in the hands of software freedom users. And one of the advantages is the availability. They are more easily to source because they are being mass produced. They have a great community interest, and as a consequence, the support of Libre software for these devices is strong. I would, however, like to also work with more local and regional manufacturers, but this might be a step that I want to and I can take with them in the future. From the ARM laptops category, I've selected the Chromebooks together with other free software enthusiasts that are interested in this architecture. And what they bring, besides the ThinkPads, is a Libre embedded controller. They also, well, maybe not all of them, because I've noticed that there are also Intel and AMD Chromebooks nowadays, but several of them have core boot pre-installed. So this means that the bootloader is completely free software, or at least easily to be completely liberated. The Chromebooks are being developed by Google as terminals for their browser. So practically, you would be their browser and their services. You would be just working on their servers using some low cost devices. But those devices are actually fully fledged computers, and they can be repurposed to general computing. A personal computer is what it most definitely Chromebook is. They also benefit from Libre firmware for video acceleration, hardware acceleration, which is great because you depend on that to play anything, to watch movies, but also to run different animations in your windowing system. There is at least one core boot variant that is completely Libre for these Chromebooks, and there are distributions that are completely Libre and recommended by the Free Software Foundation, like Parabola and Triscale, that have support for ARM. Triscale is a new addition, and while Parabola is based on Arch, Triscale is based on Ubuntu. However, the problem with these is that they usually have a non-free firmware Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module. So our solution was to make hardware modifications in order to not have to run a distribution that includes a blob for that particular piece of hardware. The solution was to desolder the Wi-Fi Bluetooth module. So this was not on a standard port that is easy to swap the card. It was soldered on. So we decided to use a heat bed and a hot air gun to be able to remove it, and we succeeded. Help from this very city was provided by Martin from the LibTech Institute and from Ruslan from Beta Lab. And as a solution for using Wi-Fi, if the module is not present anymore, it is the Atheros Wi-Fi adapter for Wi-Fi, and for Bluetooth, it's a CSR based one that have, of course, free firmware. The disadvantage to this solution, however, is that 2 out of 3 USB ports are being busy with the dongles because internally we don't have a Wi-Fi module anymore. So we have gone further with hardware modifications and attempted to include the USB cards inside the dongles to the internal USB hub of the Chromebook. By removing the casing, of course, using ribbon cables for make it easy to introduce in the very small laptop case as well. But it seems that during high level, high traffic, they overload and they need to be resetted. And this was a major blocker for us in order to release the laptop to the public. We need to also include a kill switch for the internal Wi-Fi card that we introduce in those laptops. I want to thank you very much for being so attentive to this presentation. I could see by the look on your faces. And I'm now accepting questions. Thank you very much.
So we have a lot of time for questions. So if you do have any, there are static microphones there. You can ask your questions right away.
So your presentation, is it done from such a laptop?
The presentation was made on the old ThinkPad laptop and is now being presented on the conference laptop. But I have this laptop with me at the conference. I just have to go get it from the car. So if you are interested about knowing more about this model, yes, we can talk later. Thank you. This is a very hackish presentation support, as you can see. It is only text. So it would have been possible to also make a presentation in LibreOffice on this laptop, the ARM laptop. So yeah, I hope this answers your question. Please.
Do you think something like a framework for laptop would be the way forward for doing free software?
I think that
on free hardware as much as it's possible.
I think there are several projects that are going in a good direction to give more control to the users by being able to swap different components. And I think the framework one is one of them. But I think they don't, they're not very careful with what components they are including in order to have completely free software support. If they use standard ports, you might be able to find components that can fit in, use those protocols, those standards, and be able to run a completely libre distribution. But there's also the question of the BIOS. I think the BIOS is not replaceable with the Coreboot variant. Yes.
They have open source their firmware, but I think very few AMD laptops have in general Coreboot.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. There are also
it's an issue maybe with development for AMD more than Intel. I don't know for Intel, but yes.
Might be that in some cases AMD is a better choice than Intel, but generally speaking, I think they are about the same architecture and the same problems that you can find in Intel once you find in AMD. So it's not like we should be promoting more AMD than Intel. or choosing it. It is a case-by-case scenario. You have to look at the specific components and see what is the support for them in GNU Linux.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you tell exactly what model Chromebook used and approximate price?
Yes, it is the Chromebook from Asus C100 PA.
And how much does it cost approximately?
You can't find it at the moment. You can't find any more brand new. And I think second-hand devices are around between 100 and 200 euros.
Does it have?
Sorry?
How much RAM does it have?
Okay, I think it has 4 gigs. Yeah.
Okay.
There are variants with 2 gigs, but the maximum is 4 gigs. There is also a newer version of the C100 PA, which is called C101 PA, but that doesn't have full support in GNU Linux Libre.
Did you think about using RISC-V CPU, for example?
I was expecting this question. I would like to, if that can be done on the medium term. But at the moment, I don't have plans, and I think it's a lot of work to be able to offer commercially a laptop that is based on RISC-V. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it seems that in order for you to have the all Libre installation on a computer, one needs to sacrifice a lot of performance. So such computers are maybe suitable for the casual user, but not for a developer that needs a lot of power, if you will. So what's your goal? What's your target basically with these computers? Who do you target? It can't be developers, I think.
I don't exclude developers as a target audience. If you need a lot of power for compilation, you can easily do the build on a server that is remote. It's for writing code, you don't need much power, but I think that we normally use a lot of applications, and some of them are not even having are not even foreground processes. They are background processes that we don't need to fill the 16 gigs of RAM or 32 gigs of RAM. I think that as the hardware gets more powerful, it is also getting more bloated with applications that we don't necessarily need to run all the time. We might need to run a certain application at a certain time, moment of time, but in most of the cases we just open many applications when we keep them in background without really using them, out of convenience, of course. What is the reason, which is the reason for me looking for more modern laptops, is because they have a better efficiency consumptions in terms of consumption of current. So the battery lasts longer, and it is not as bulky as ThinkPad are. It is nice as a travel laptop, for instance. So this is another use case for them. Yeah. In general, I want to help users have devices not only for as terminals, not only for communicating with different servers, but also to do some local work on that device. And the phones the tablets are becoming these fully fledged computers that we can fit in our pocket or in our small backpack or in our bag and do some real important work on them instead of just using them as terminals to software as a service that is being run by Google or Microsoft or Amazon. So this is about giving more power to the users for the same devices that they already have most of the time.
Is your next target then handheld devices?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, if there are no more questions, I thank you for being at this talk and showing so much interest. And I hope to see you next year again.
Thank you so much.